Ready? Okay, let's get started here. Ask the clerk to call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Ron Smith,
Here.
Alex Bissett,
Here.
Molly Envine. Here. Dan Briscoe,
Here.
Bill Heisen,
Here.
Roger Whitley.
Here.
And who else? Walter Townsend. Well,
I'm going to ask if there is anyone who has any topic that's not on the agenda that feels like it needs to be talked about this evening in the budget.
Just make sure Chief has his slot. The budget or the agenda is for the actual meeting, not for a work session. So maybe we just say go by the standard work session
Yeah.
agenda.
Yeah, so it appears that I'm jumping around a little bit from place to place. We'll hit all the places. Yeah.
Jack Maxwell.
We'll get Mr. Maxwell here in a little bit.
All right, there you go.
One of the two things that brought up by two people, I forgot, one was the I think the chief brought up something about.
I'm sorry, we
No,
can't
not
hear.
Attorney brought up something about supporting the bus route. We need to.
Of course, I've heard about this. So
Maybe we could talk about that next week and have some sort of a way of.
I guess the information that we
promoting
need,
that.
so we can have a decent discussion and present it at the next work session. Get on the agenda with whatever topic it falls.
Yeah, and the other thing that Attorney mentioned, I don't know if we need to vote on it, getting a. Work the agency to get to go after some of the businesses that are.
We're already in that process.
But do we have to vote on that or anything?
We don't vote on anything tonight.
No, but I mean, eventually. What, I mean, would we have to do that, to get that?
We would ask that if the town administrator has a presentation on that topic and makes it, then we can decide whether we want to vote on something.
Oh, okay.
I have a question about, so you wondered if we need to vote on whether the town should go after delinquent business owners.
Yeah, that's.
I would think that would be something not need to be voted. I mean, it's gonna be obvious that if they're delinquent, they're gonna have to pay. I don't think that the town council needs to oversee that. That's just something automatic.
It's pretty much town
But
administrator.
we don't think that we have to approve that.
I think you're probably touching on something that's wise, which is if we're gonna take action, it's not regular action against the business, we should discuss that. But I think that most of this collection enforcement is gonna be covered in stuff that we already have laid out. So
Okay.
I think if we're not doing anything that's against the status quo, the town staff can take the lead on that.
It just seems to be a bigger issue now. I mean, it's been brought to our attention.
Okay, I'm gonna jump on down to the reports. My report is very brief. Took part in the opening of the summer program at the library last week, and other than that, it's been fairly quiet, just trying to get the town room to work on the budget issues. So,
Mr. Mayor, just one comment. You weren't just there, you were playing.
oh, we were playing music for it, but it was kickoff for the summer. Must have been 100 people there, adults and children. It was a nice turnout. So, let's go over to the chiefs.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council, for having me this evening. Due to significant calls for service this past month, I've highlighted, we responded to one of our businesses for a larceny and found that an employee had embezzled almost $15,000 in bank deposits from the business. I've been in communication with their loss prevention. I'm waiting on video and some bank records to come back before I can move forward with that criminal investigation. We worked a DOA on Warren Street. Appears that it was a drug overdose with cocaine. No foul play in that one. We also assisted in the 7,000 block of Alabama Spring Road with an individual that had just gotten out of the hospital and was found DOA in their bedroom. Had a lot of medical issues, no foul play, was discovered at that scene.
Chief, just a question on the drug overdose.
Sir.
If you had to say in general as a town, or where are we in how you would understand us over the last few years? Are we the, is it, because that's a national issue. Is it something that, are we getting worse? Are we having more trouble with it? Is it,
I think it's probably about the same as when I started here, Mr. Briscoe. There's certainly a lot of drugs coming in Scottsville for food. It's just whether or not we can stop it. And according to my reports each month, you're very aware that we've made a number of drug seizures, drug arrests in the town. I mean, it's something that's being dealt with nationally by law enforcement.
so you would say, just as you, again, it's terrible. This is a terrible thing. It's statistically, we're kind of the same, you're saying.
So statistically, we're dealing with it just like every other. It's not widespread where we're having DOAs pop up on every street corner here in the town of Scottsville.
Right.
We've certainly had to deal with some of that. That's why we transitioned to the Narcan for all the patrol officers. We had to deal with some of that when meth really took over and hit. We were seeing some of that. We've had to use our Narcan a few times since we've deployed it to all of our patrol officers, but not as frequently as I thought we might have to.
Well, thank you.
We assisted the Nelson County Sheriff's Office with an arrest of a female who was wanted on a number of felony warrants. The female individual had fled from not our jurisdiction, but another jurisdiction in high-speed pursuit. Our officers were able to gather some information as to where she was at, work with the Nelson County Sheriff's Office, and was able to take her into custody and another person on the scene into custody on outstanding papers. Without incident. We didn't have any troubles taking them into custody. We also assisted ACPD with a missing person incident down Green Creek Road. This individual was found a little bit later walking up one of the roads to her residence. We were able to actually help her and her family get the resources that she needed. She's actually doing pretty good now. Seen her in town and she's doing fine.
Great. That's great.
I'm sure many members of council are aware we assisted with that 2-vehicle crash on Scottsville Road. It appears that one of the vehicles crossed the center line, striking the other one, causing the one vehicle to roll over several times. 3 patients on scene in critical condition, and one later passed away at the hospital. ACPD continues to investigate that crash. We also responded over to the shopping center for a hit and run. When our officers got on scene, it was learned that there was a altercation inside of the store with some of the employees. That individual come outside, got in his vehicle. There were 4 individuals standing on the parking lot, and you can see the video, he actually tried to run them over. One of the individuals got hit in the arm by the moving vehicle. As it sped around one of the turns, it ran up on one of the sidewalks and hit a concrete or a brick pillar, flattened one of its tires and fled the scene. Fortunately, we had some of our community members witness what happened, followed the vehicle down Irish Road where it pulled up into one of the church parking lots there. Officers got on scene. We were able to take the individual into custody without any incident, but he was arrested for malicious wounding and hit and run. Also, and I know Mr. Bolton will talk a little bit about this, but I just wanted to let council know that Melody Court was also indicted by the grand jury this past 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. Community engagements, we participated in the Markets annual fundraising roundup event. The fundraising event actually raised $2,600 for the Scottsville Police Foundation. We also attended the BFW annual Memorial Day ceremony at the farmers market. And we also attended ACPD swearing in ceremony with two of their new officers. You can see our auxiliary officers donated 101 hours of their time and the cost savings to the town as it reflects to the number of hours that they've worked, just in the first 5 months of this year. Did send one of our supervisors, the APO supervisor, to a first line supervisor school through the BACP. And the police foundation actually paid for that training. We also hosted the last of our Scottsville 4th of July regional meetings. We did it at the hall. I have sent the incident action plan to the mayor and those folks that need to look at it. If anybody's interested, I can certainly pass it on. It's law enforcement sensitive, so it can't be shared outside of girls. But if there's any questions about the 4th of July, please ask. We do plan on having message boards the week prior to the 4th. Ours will be deployed. Albemarle plans on deploying theirs on Scottsville Road. Blue Banner County plans on deploying theirs, and Buckingham plans on deploying theirs. So we hopefully will have plenty of notification of what time the road closure will be out here the morning of the 4th, but it will be 8:40 a.m. No traffic in or out of the town from 8:40 a.m. until the parade's over. Okay. And then attached are our monthly statistics for the month. Any questions on any of that?
Right. I was just looking at the statistics, and I noticed you put down on this list, there were, 2 DOAs and they're not listed under for the May thing for when the statistics, so that might change your number for the call for service.
So the DOAs for this past.
Oh, there were out.
Should capture them in next month's.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay.
Looks like we're holding our own. We're handling about 80% of all the calls for service in the town of Scottsville right now. Eric seems to be adjusting well on his own, so I'm hoping that 80% will get that up where it was about 95%. It's fully acclimated to the town and that type of stuff. So far, we're doing pretty good. Holding our own.
How would you say, Chief, do you talk to the Department of Wildlife Resources people about the boat landing? How are things over there?
Boat landing's going okay. I don't know if any members have heard, but one of our newer officers, there are 2 signs down there that say no trespassing except for fishing and launching boats. One of our new officers, black and white, right? People hanging out down there. He says, "Oh, you can't hang out there." I got a little bit of feedback about his asking them to leave. And as I told him, we typically, unless there's a problem down there, don't ask people just to leave. And the game department doesn't run them off down there either. So I think it was just a matter of my informing him a little bit about how we police the boat landing down there ourselves as a police department. But the boat landing seems to be going good. There were some down trees down there that I think Appalachian Power had come and cut off of one of the power lines. I talked to Brad Morey, who manages the boat landing. He contacted AMP and they were down there the next day, and it's all cleared up in preparation for the backfill festival.
One of the reasons I asked the question is I had somebody explain to me their concern, and I asked them if they were familiar with the rules down there, which they were, and I am, and you are, and I simply was saying to the person, if you know the rules the way they are, then you really have nothing to say, so to speak. In other words, I understand why the Department of Wildlife Resources has the rules the way they do across the state. It's not, it's not unique to us. At the same time, my response was to defend that position. In other words, in my view, that is the rule. So that is the rule, and how that rule is created is is a different subject. That's not us.
So it's their boat landing,
That's
and
right.
they have the ability to post it no trespass. They have the ability as a private property owner to regulate how that property is to be utilized. If someone, I'm assuming you're talking about the just hanging out.
Yeah, yeah.
However, I personally think that it's just good business for us. There are a lot of kids and families come down there to watch the trains go by. As I explained to the officers, look, unless someone's causing a problem, they're drinking in public, reckless driving in the lot, or really causing a danger to someone else, we typically just allow people to have their lunches, kids to come out, and look at the river and things like that. We don't typically run off. And I don't know of any of the game wardens that have necessarily done it as well. So trying to be consistent, right? And also apologize, didn't really understand, just saw black and white, right? And then I don't think it'll ever happen again unless there's a problem.
Right. No, and it's the reason I even follow up on it is not so much that situation. I mean, we have had significant issues there before,
Yes, sir.
going back historically. And that's why, from my perspective, I would stand behind the sign, so to speak, and again, you as not just you, but there's multiple other agencies involved in what happens there. And I think you have a great head on your shoulders in terms of how you do what you do. And we're thankful for that.
We try to use good judgment.
Okay, and I failed to mention I was at the Memorial Day service with the chief, laying a wreath for the town, and he was at the library. Out wowing the kids to know his flashing lights. Yeah, any questions for the chief?
Chief, I will say this, this is just, since one of my grandchildren was there, I was glad that he understood the significance of not ending up in the backseat in the future, so that was good.
It was a good time. A lot of kids and families come out. It was a really good time for everybody.
Well, I think it's helpful. I mean, it was a cute thing for him, but I mean, it is a helpful education for people to understand what is there, and it's a good thing for you doing that. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Whitley, anything to report? On anything?
ARB.
Yes, sir.
There was one COA that we reviewed, the barber shop, embroidery business building here, has the owners, they'd like to paint it. So they picked the paint within the Sherwin-Williams color palette. I think it's cornflower. Don't quote me on that. But they're planning on painting it and fixing the windows, replacing them with something that's just like it is.
There are a couple of copies of that, see what there, that's what.
I think I've summarized it. We approved it. Won't see anything for the council.
All right, thank you.
Keep the uniform.
Mr. Bissett, anything? About anything?
Excited to get this budget.
Yeah, I know, we're gonna get to that just a few minutes. Mr. Heisen, anything you wish to report on?
No, sent out the minutes. It is part, the committee did meet.
All right. Mr. Briscoe, anything?
Well, I've shared it several times about reading the declaration at 3:00 here on the 4th. I'm excited about that, and doing the Frederick Douglass speech 3:00 on the 5th. And I've mentioned before, at some point this summer, I will be creating a tour that will do some stuff in Scottsville and dialogue with Stuart about that. So looking forward to that.
Good. Anything from,
We haven't heard, we have not met the emergency services committee, everything pretty much the same as last time.
we're gonna take just about 3 minutes and have Mr. Maxwell come up here. He is, once again, you never know what Jack is gonna come up with. Now he's got a weather camera for north and incoming weather, and he's going to ask for the town's support for mounting that where it'd be the most beneficial. But I asked him to come and just Just a couple minutes to tell those who don't know what's going on, what's happening.
So we have a new emergency coordinator. His name is Johnny. Switzer. He's from town of Lawrence, Virginia. He started June 1st, and so I've been communicating with him regarding this project. The original idea came from Nancy Gill, who talked with a former person who worked for 29 News, who decided to pass away. So we just try and get this thing moving. Been several years working on this. VDOT spoke to VDOT over the weekend. They said no to the bridge due to the fact that it's their right of way. And so our plan B is the pump house. Page 2 of your proposal is the blueprints that's in Corps of Engineers request to include in the packet being submitted to them when they approve it. So the weather station, which feeds to the weather camera, and the weather camera will be able to broadcast it on the time lapse of the temperature and weather conditions above the height. This will also feed the local news department, Free National Weather Service offices. They've all been looped in already regarding this project. We are in a very unique situation down here. We have Blacksburg covering the James River. If you go east, you're in Wakefield, and right now we're in BC forecast office. Those radar beams are 1,000 feet up, and you cannot see anything on the ground on the radar. So this plan is to help them see what the conditions are down here and to help them with weather monitoring from their 3 different National Weather Service offices down here. Plan B is the Corps of Engineers to improve this and working with other business owners to let me allow access to the roof. So as the talked to Tim Carver the weekend, he said that this town property and you guys ultimately have to approve it before I submit the proposal or to Corps of Engineers. That's where I'm at right now.
Okay, well, that's the basics. So if we can have on the agenda for the meeting, regular council meeting, the end of the month, our support or non-support of the weather camera.
And the counties, we got the counties paying for the web page.
Yes,
Now
not
they're on
costing the
funds.
town anything other than us granting our support.
What does Mr. Carr say in terms of putting it there?
So it has to go through you guys first. Then it has to go through Corps of Engineers, has to ultimate yes or no on it. They say no. Potentially I will look at other options down here.
No, I guess I'm asking is, has he said yes? No, what does he like it? Not like
He
it?
likes the idea, but he has to say town approval, ultimate town, you guys, this building, Pike County owns the building, and it has to go through you guys first before I go through the board.
Jack, wherever this stuff, if it goes through and is mounted, will it require to have 24/7 access for maintenance or?
No, that's the ground cars schedule. Not really, I don't think so. I have to look at what the software includes, but basically, I think I can do everything remotely.
Now, would this weather, weather station and camera, will, let's just say that it is installed on the pump house, will it have to be attached to our data service in the building?
It only requires Wi-Fi, and then power, that's about it. Everything else is, I can do from home.
What is the county? So the county was.
We were able to find funds in their budget to pay for the camera. So they already approved that part of the process now was pay for the weather station.
And what's their interest in it? Do they just,
They love the idea because they help them with, if we have like a disaster down here, they'd be able to watch time lapse of it and come see what people pass by us. Put away, come down here, or any of that kind of stuff. So I'll be able to feed them with the time lapse of the video.
So-
can be point.
They'd be putting up this tourist sky, southbound, northbound,
So the sky.
to basically the sky.
And Albemarle will pay for any,
Yeah, I'm not kind of paying for the camera.
but any good ongoing maintenance.
Maintenance comes out of my budget,
Out of what?
my pocket.
Okay.
Does that one help any other ones they have?
The only ones I know is local news has them on Cars Mountain Road, Cars Mountain and other areas. That's basically, that's the news. Right, this is us,
Just one other.
that's one others, us,
That
we captain.
one works pretty well for me.
Or that one's higher up and they have access to $20,000 plus to put on cell tower. That's way out of the option right now.
Yeah.
Because if the pump house is not, if for some odd reason it doesn't go through, would this equipment be able to be attached to the cell tower up here back there?
That's 20 grand rental. And so that's way out of price rate. I did talk to him several years ago about it. He says $20,000 rental. And that's per month. The other options, the Baptist church are higher up, so I'm talking with them already, for a backup plan. And then they're the higher up, and they put it on top of the state.
Jack, how did you, how is Wi-Fi being paid for?
I will come out of our budget, my nonprofit budget.
So if there was a modem put down there, does that mean that the county of Albemarle be willing to pay for that data service?
It's all is on the cloud, so basically it feeds up to online, and it feeds to the website. Great. So everything is cloud based.
And we'll have something on the agenda,
That next week or the week.
that's 2 weeks.
All right.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Jack. All right, now we're gonna back up the agenda that you have before you and turn things over to the town administrator. Let's Mr. Foley have something first.
I sent you a bunch of letters this month, if I have any questions, please give me a call.
Thank you.
Yeah, bus route is interesting, take a look at it, just came in on Friday, it's a real opportunity, got some serious competition with Bridge County. But we need to get interested in acting fair quickly. So to get interested in it, should we have like a resolution from the town, or should we just call? Should we just give people a call? Somebody needs to touch base with the my crew supervisor, somebody needs to touch base with the town administrator to deal with it, somebody needs to touch base with the town administrator for the county budget, and we'll see if you could have a united front, and then coordinate the parties and go forward and see if you could get consensus. John's already said that's the highest priority. In other words, it would serve the most people by the criteria they use. They could most benefit from increasing the bus traffic. I understand it 4 times a day going to Indiana Hospital, Martha Jefferson Hospital, University, and 4 times a day coming back. Dealing with stopping on those 8 trips. The farmers market down here in Scottsville. So you not only have medical, but you also open yourself up to University of Virginia students and a whole bunch of folks that don't like driving out here the road and find transportation every day in Scottsville, or at least more. That's or whatever.
Would this require the town to make more parking available? If something, let's just say that you wanted a bunch of people to hop on the job bus or whatever, they have to have a place to park, correct? Would that be something that John would pay us for use of parking?
I don't know that. I don't know that.
I'm just trying to figure out ways to get money in for the town, so that's why I was just saying,
Well, I think most of the businesses that are in the town are it works out at an increased traffic flow of visitors to down Scottsville.
Jim, is there anything, I know the county had, or the state had passed a law that said about that plastic bag tax. And that county said that would actually, small towns could actually piggyback and leverage some of those funds.
July 1st, it goes into effect.
Is there
This one
anything,
was signed by the governor, but the funds for that plastic bag tax are earmarked for environmental projects and things like that. So if you had a cleanup, the roads kind of thing, it would probably, you could use the money for that. You can't put it into the general fund budget.
is there anything, do we have to do anything, submit any paperwork or anything to the county, or?
So I would leave that up to the town administrator to just make a connection with, and I'm sure y'all are working it. And I want to go buy a plastic bag of food line. I've never seen anyone really buy one. But then see if that nickel came back in August,
I'm just wondering, if you said.
I don't know how much.
Environmental stuff, do you think we could use it any for the canal basin or?
I don't know, I'd have to, the
Very possibly.
yeah, it's,
Circuit.
Yeah.
you have to,
Certainly environmental.
yeah, however you can read, it's a short law, and then it's just like a sentence or two added on for the towns that in counties where there is the plastic bag tax. Now the towns can get that distribution. And I'm just off the top of my head spitballing, it's like, that can't be a lot of money,
Actually, the first year.
but I don't know.
The first year that the county implemented it was $44,000.
Yeah,
And I'm just wondering what the town, how much the town could leverage out of the county for that. Maybe it's just the stores around here.
yeah, it would be the stores within the town, maybe Elizabeth could ask that question, or he has an estimate from the county folks. But yeah, I was tracking that one in all session. The ones that I was tracking, that's the only the governor signed.
I was just wondering if it could help us with some of the maintenance down at the canal base. Farmers market.
We go. I'll check it.
Okay, whenever you're ready, as a town administrator.
All right, so, just going over this report that I have. We've been actively engaged in the development and finalization of the 26-27 general fund budget. Continue reviewing refinement of budget proposals across all departments. Revenue projections updated to reflect current tax enforcement activities and collection trends, and budget document finalized was submitted for council review. And literally, I mean, it's changes every day, but Whitney was finally able to follow up. I think, one of the council members had asked about the $18,000 for the AEP street lighting. So she was able to finally get an answer with that. The 18,000 is a very high projection, and it actually came out to about $13,000.
That's the really, yeah.
That's the real number, so I reduced that expenditure by $5,000. And, I was hoping that chief person was gonna be here. We were working late Friday and again today. Apparently they have put in for the $15,000 pass-through budget. I didn't put it on this version because I'm not 99% sure. I reached out to the lady in the state agency that oversees that. We talked with her on Friday, and she said, all you gotta do is send me this information. Fire department hasn't received that grant since 2023, and anyway, so we filled out the paperwork. I went and did notarize it on Friday. So hopefully, you know, they'll go with that as well. We're down to the meals tax administration. We continue to enter the meals tax returns and update that doesn't change significantly from last meeting when we talked about that. And the same with fuel tax, they've been entered and reconciled in our database. Going down to the cigarette tax enforcement, I think I mentioned this at last meeting, but actually we went today, the Place Street and Officer Petrowski, we met on Friday with one of the distributors and then one of the manufacturers of cigarettes that they just happened to be in town at a facility that, you know, they were setting up and doing account. And anyway, so they were able to come down and meet with us and explain to us the ins and outs of that. And we decided to set up a inspection, which was today. And I don't know if you want to add anything else, but so the three of us went out to the cigarette and vape shop, and we were there from like 9:30 to 11:45 today. And inspected all of their cigarettes, and we found, I guess in my report, 337 packs that did not have the municipal stamp, the town Scottsville stamp on them. And you know, it's 40 cents a pack, so it's not a whole lot of money. $134.80. I did confiscate the cigarettes, and they are in our possession. I get locked up at night with the cigarette taxes, but we did asked them to please come and bring their stamps. And then they can adhere to stamps because, that's all we really want is the compliance to make sure that the stamps are adhered to the cigarette packs before they're sold. And we did look at both individual cigarette packs and then the opened up cartons. Took a lot of pictures of the cigarettes and then of the paperwork, because to my knowledge, and the meeting with the gentleman who came on Friday, he was from, was it Merchants Groceries? Yeah. So I'm familiar with Merchants Groceries, a distributor, and also the one at Lynchburg, which they've also done business, but they had stopped. And I talked to them last week sometime, they said they hadn't done business with that retail shop since October. But today, there's a third player that I wasn't familiar with, and they are required to submit monthly paperwork to us to let us know, how many cigarettes that they've sold or how many cigarettes that are stamped that they've sold to the company. We have not gotten any of that paperwork, so I'll be making that inquiry later.
I just wanted to, I just want to make sure I understand. So does that mean that we're gonna need to, all the gas stations that sell cigarettes, that include Food Line also? Because I've been up to Food Line, a little quick checkout part, people are just constantly getting cigarettes, left and right. So, you would seem to think if 337 pack, that's at 40 cents a pack or whatever, you said it's $134. You would think that over a month period of time, and unfortunately, there's more people out there that smoke than anything. I believe that's something we need to stay on top of because that might bring us the additional revenue that we need.
I think you're right, because if you do the math, let's say $65,000 a year cigarette tax roughly, divide that by 40 cents, and that's 162,500 packs of cigarettes are sold in this town.
So what we've found,
Think on that.
And
A lot.
have we, from what you've seen in the past, have we gotten anywhere near that amount paid to the town by cigarette sale?
65,000, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
so what we were able to figure out, council, is the town doesn't have a real, I guess,
Weird, understand.
doesn't really have a mechanism in place to collect the tax on cigarettes.
Mm.
What we learned last week was that these distributors are the ones that actually buy the tax stamp from the town. And then when they buy the tax stamp from the town, when they get an order from like this one particular store, they actually adhere the state stamp tax and the jurisdiction state tax stamp at the same time. It's a adhesive. So what we had to figure out last week was how is the town collecting this revenue? And it doesn't get, the only time it gets collected is when those tax stamps are sold to the distributor.
And the distributor cuts the check to the town.
They pay the town. Well, they pay the town when they buy the stamp.
So you said there's 2 distributors you work with, but there may be a third.
Yes.
Okay.
And what we found,
Submit a report every monthly.
I see.
Will this same distributor have something to do with Food Line or is that a whole different?
Food Line, it's, yeah,
Food Line is working.
they're all, these were clients.
Food Line, the market.
And Dollar General.
But what we were able to really drill down on is the new account that's going into this business. He's assured us, and we saw his paperwork, and we saw the paperwork at the store this morning, that when they place an order, that tax stamp is going to be put on it from that distributor. So the town will get its money. What we suspected that was going on is we learned that a person can actually go to Costco, have the state stamp on it, but actually not have to put the jurisdictional stamp on it.
So they resell it, they buy at Costco.
Yes.
Most likely.
The only company in the state that does that is Scottsville.
What we did learn, Mr. Whitley, was that that particular business sold to a new owner in October. And we were able to look at invoices and determine that the business most likely was out of compliance before October. the paperwork that we saw from this new distributor, and from, it looks like at least the paperwork from October to present was available for us to look at. And most likely, most of the vaccine has been paid because I can't remember, what was the name, something, RTX distributors. We went and looked at a couple of their cartons of cigarettes, and we saw an invoice, pulled the cartons off the shelf, and they had both stamps on. So most likely, it looks like the tax stamp from the town was purchased from the town. But
the stamp put him on the individual pack, then put in the carton?
so that
So
before,
let's just say that you're a business, you order, let's say, 200 cartons of cigarettes or whatever. So when it's ordered, does that mean somewhere along the line, somebody put both stamps on there before it put inside the carton?
that's exactly,
Okay, so no stamp to get put on up here at the location.
well, when we were up there, we found a roll of those stamps today up there, 449 of them, only one stamp had been taken off of the roll. So what we can assume is the business come down and purchase tax stamps from the town clerk or the administrator. And when they went back up to the shop, they won't put the tax stamps on the cigarettes that they would get someplace else. They can buy cigarettes wherever they want, Costco, wherever. It's just when it goes out that door, it needs two stamps, state tax stamp and a local state tax stamp or a tax
For the
stamp.
locality.
So,
So if there was a whole roll there, does that mean that whole roll had already been paid for?
yes, sir,
Yes.
Okay.
it had been. They just weren't used to it. So when she was getting the paperwork, the reports, the distributor sends the reports to Elizabeth of how many packs of cigarettes or cartons was ordered from the shop and how many they shipped. But we're trying to capture this new company that's doing business there with them now, will actually be able to track how many they're selling out of the state. So cleaned up a lot of that. This particular company also has the
RVA
distributors.
traders.
Hmm.
RVA traders.
Yeah, that was from October till this month. But we also found some of the other stores that are in the town actually use the new distributor. What is it? Hill Market,
City?
Hill City
Yes, sir.
distributors. So I'm pretty confident, I think we were all pretty confident that moving forward, the new owner of this particular shop is going to be doing business the right way.
So how many locations in Scottsville can you purchase cigarettes? Food line, the vape shop, and I'm assuming the market
Dollar store.
and the Exxon, Go Club, that's five. What about, you said a dollar store?
Yeah, I think they sell smokes, yeah,
Okay.
a lot of places.
So you have information, you get reports from all six,
Except
seven.
for we get them from Hill City, we get them from, the other church place, but this new place from RVA traders is someone that I'll have to reach out and ask. But as another note, the 300 some that we found today, keep in mind, there's 10 cigarettes or packs per carton. And so some of the cartons had missing cigarettes, so I'm assuming that those missing cigarettes also, were sold without having the required stamp on it.
Right.
So I took pictures of all the statements and I'm gonna try to, I'll go back and check, see if I can put this on them. What is owed, and then also, maybe Mr. Goldman, you know this, whether there's, a requirement to heat, to adhere the stamps by heat, or whether, like, the people that came and bought that roll, whether they can just buy with, stamps. I did find out cigars aren't, there's like little boxes of cigars that aren't taxed, maybe you know why not. And I mean, there's a lot of tobacco products in there that aren't taxed.
The only thing that localities in Virginia, I've read this one, I think, well enough to speak to them, The only thing that localities can tax in tobacco products is cigarettes.
Yes.
Dip, snuff, chewing tobacco, any other thing you can dream of, is the state that taxes that.
Okay.
Only cigarettes, and you were capped at 40 cents a pack for localities. That was a law that was passed unless you were grandfathered in, or Charlottesville already had 60 cents on it. That's why they are 60 cents. The state is 60, I think, also, but we are capped forever 40%, or sorry, 40 cents. And it would take a state law to change that, which is a good deal for the tobacco companies, because when they passed that in 2020, whatever it was, 40 cents is worth even less now. So if you're a tobacco company, that 40 cents, 60 cents, $1 added on the pack, it was $7 pack of Lucky Strikes or whatever they cost. It gets less and less every year, and you can fight one bill at one time. The only other thing I was looking at this year was, and it didn't pass, but liquid nicotine
Yes.
vape pods cannot be taxed yet by localities. And that's one that keeps trying to get through the state assembly, but
I think they're selling more of that than they are actual cigarettes now.
exactly.
We learned
See,
that.
now that would be interesting. All the vapors.
You can make a pile of money out there.
Yeah, but they won't let the localities do that. It passed, I forgot how far it got along. But that's when it'll come back again next year, I'm sure, because every year there's someone trying to work that one through the assembly to get to the governor's desk and veto.
We learned also last week, we were meeting with the distributor and the wholesaler, that there's a whole list, it was just passed in April of this year, of prohibited vape products.
Yes.
And
Freaky stuff, right?
There's only a certain list of certified vape products that are legal to sell in the state of Virginia. And so we have that list now, as the not awareness is helpful. I think they had until April or until March to adhere to that
Go
law.
ahead until April.
Yeah,
I get April this year, so we also prohibited for their vape products. And I was busy counting cigarettes, so I'm not sure how many,
So the bottom line is
you all told them that.
the General Assembly, pretty much anything that's manufactured outside of the United States is prohibited unless they go before this committee or board and tobacco, whatever, and they get it approved that they can actually sell. There's the shelves up there are full of it. But it's $1,000 per day fine, and I'm assuming that fine has to go to the state. Doesn't say it comes back to the jurisdiction. That was part of the thing that, we told them, look, there are a lot of things, we left them the list. Here's the approved list. Everything else has got to come off the shelf. Unless it's approved, it's not supposed to be there. It's $1,000 fine per day. So a lot of work today with them. It was pretty positive for the most part. I'm assuming that he did contact you.
Yeah.
So you probably get I don't know, those cigarettes probably be the town's forever.
Hey, maybe we should consider getting.
We could sell.
I was gonna say an old school cigarette machine, see if we can put it on the street.
Get rid of a couple.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be illegal at all. Kids.
Can I eat it?
Yeah.
It's not only
It's
cigarettes.
selling, because they have all that like $8 a quart,
Pictures of everything and, documents for welcome to it, and had the representative there sign off, 3 of us, $1, 1 wasn't, so. So anyway, that's probably enough about the tobacco products. I did send out, RFPs for, well, I talked again with the, accounting, APA, Virginia.
Who's that with RFP stand for?
Request for proposal.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay.
And anyway, because I have not been getting the response that I have only from the MD accounting that is providing their QuickBooks reconciliation. So I reached out to 2 different companies that are local, to do the same thing. I also, the APA lady, state agency, she said she couldn't recommend people, but here's a list. And, also recommended, talking to VML or, Waco for information, but I did send a request for proposal to 2 different companies today, telling them what I wanted to. So I gave them a deadline of 10 days to do the answer.
Would any of those companies be available to come in and meet with the council?
I don't know this.
Because you told me the other one was online and they couldn't.
Yes,
But there's so many questions with those reports. It would be good to get somebody local who could actually explain what those numbers mean and what's going on and get some clarity. Those are, I think we've never gone over one and I don't think they're very helpful. But if we had an active person who would come there and kind of go over that with us, that would be really helpful.
Okay, so to address some maintenance concerns that you had you had asked about. I didn't talk briefly about this the last visit. One of the signs that was broken, Steel Services, their employee broke it and I could talk to them and they said that they would replace it. I'm not really sure how much that would cost.
One at the bank.
Yes.
Oh.
And so that would be up to Steel Services, not just our I'm sorry, yeah, structural services, to replace that. And I don't know if we want to replace it with the same thing, with the really heavy slate or something else.
I think
The other sign that is missing on the Buckingham side, we have it. It just needs a new base to set it up.
Right.
Let's see, what else did you ask about? The state flag has been ordered. And
Are we ever gonna do a Scottsville flag again? Used to have a Scottsville flag. We don't do that anymore.
She personally recommended not having all 3 signs
Yeah,
or flags hanging because they were interchangeable.
right. Maybe we could pick it
So
up
she
somewhere else.
wanted them to be separated,
Yeah.
but we do have special flags.
Yeah, maybe that could be find a different place for that, but it'd be nice to have that too, just so people know.
Mhm.
I mean, I think identification of our town with signs and flags is so important. You go through a town, if you're a visitor, you don't know where you are, unless you see a sign. Doesn't take long to get through.
We looked into that,
Yeah, I'm serious. I joked about it. I've joked about it for years, but
but
like
we
if
are,
Bateau Festival shows up and you got a cool flag in town
right.
Yeah,
with a dude on Bateau.
Yeah.
I mean, hats, stickers, bumpers.
yeah.
What
Did you find out? I'm sorry.
we're still looking into it.
Oh,
The preliminary stage.
Right, I was trying to find some
Well,
other,
we seriously.
I was looking at, mugs,
Yeah.
canvas tote bags, a flask, I don't know if a flask or the little shot glasses, but the t-shirts, it said that t-shirts would be good, ball caps.
Stickers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and stickers.
Flag, cell phone.
So,
We don't have.
I
We have a
don't
nice
know,
logo.
What's that?
We have a nice logo.
It's a very nice logo. It's a good, whoever signed it years ago.
Yeah, that's
It ought to be,
That's good.
what, copyright.
Straight.
Trademark, yeah.
Sir.
Gorgeous on a steel.
You know, just to go back to what he's saying there, if you are looking at those things, that is a legitimate thing to look at. In other words, it is something to think about. I don't want to compete with any businesses that are doing something, but if a business is not doing something, it is worth considering. So you could feel free to share that with us in the future, whatever you come up with in your research.
We have a business that makes merchandise in town, maybe work through them.
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
in the board brief, yeah, that's what I thought too, to ask them about, price for ball caps and maybe shirts.
Well, the stickers make a big difference because a lot of people who do a lot of
Yeah.
camping and stuff, they always want to get the sticker and put it on the campus. Say, yeah, I've been to Scottsville, I've been to,
Why,
That's
Paris,
just-
Scott's
yeah.
or something like that.
Back on the police back.
This one is a state badge.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't-
So that is on that.
It's on the patch.
That's what I thought, it's on the card. That's cool.
Anything else?
And the other thing, Councilor Heisen, that you asked about was the budget, we're gonna talk about that really next, but, we wanted it to reflect the Bowers donation.
Yeah,
And, I think that was given to the town, $5,000 in 2024, and you all know that for sure.
I'm just trying to find out.
Because it hasn't been that I can find, there's a whole bunch of paper in it we go through,
I got
but,
lost.
there hasn't been a line item, or I should say, a bank statement breakdown that shows that money. So I, don't feel confident about just putting $5,000 out there and saying that that's from the Bowers. So I don't know.
Or really just talking.
We spent 1,000 of that for some.
The last thing I remember with that was like the water.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? They wanted to give money for the water.
Oh,
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would like to give more money, but we don't haven't accounted for what they gave, you know, that's part of the. That's the cost.
I usually got a town water bottle, you don't really want them to use water fountain, right? You want them to buy our water.
They like
bottles. Scottsville.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Like, where you going with that?
water bottle anyway.
So are you still investigating that or trying to, they ask
It's
about it?
it's there somewhere. I agree with you. There's $4,000 there somewhere. Because I have a letter from John Bowers where he sent the check.
Yeah, so what, do you know what the date was on that?
It was right, he does these things for tax purposes. It was right at the end of December of 24.
Good.
And he sent us $5,000 to be used only for Canal Basin Square projects.
Right,
And we, next year, I think we did something with the plumbing or something over there. Anyhow, we spent $1,000 of that money. So there's 4,000 hanging around somewhere.
Remember when the backhoe was fixed with the wood, was it all spent then?
I'm not sure.
That was separate.
Was something?
It was just kind of, it was 30,000, I think, for that.
We'll keep looking for it.
Yeah. But you might ask George Goodwin, that's his brother-in-law, he's the one who's brought that up several times. Because he connects with the Bowers, so.
Okay, so let's get into this budget thing.
Is there anything, everyone doesn't like the other budget?
We have a surplus.
Well, Elizabeth, I have a question for you about the budget, okay? We've all looked at this up and down. You said earlier tonight that the AEP thing went from 18,000 down to 13,000. From what you see, I'm not gonna hold you to this or whatever, I'm just, from what you see, do you think, or does anyone else in here think that there's any line item that could possibly be inflated higher than it actually is, and that we'll find out down the road that the actual cost is not as high if we have it here? That's one of the reasons I want to do the quarterly thing. That way we could look at and track and see, what's costing us what. But off the top of your head right now, from what you've seen, do you think any of these other line items are inflated a little bit higher than they actually should be?
I reviewed most all of the expenses and what I anticipated. And it's actually reflective in the actual cost of things. I know that I looked at the FICA, the retirement and health insurance, life insurance. Telephone and internet, that's something that we're still, meetings, it's bigger next week, everything they still get back to us and let us know if they're gonna allow us to drop all those extra phone lines. So, and then the different capital improvements, the flood control reserve and the pump station rehab. Those were what I noted, previously, that after talking with, and Mr. Carr, he said he didn't even know what those expenses were, so, I'll leave them. When we went through that, also, the police department, those are pretty much exact numbers, and we are not, I had a little bit of times, and going with those expensive.
Well, your budget numbers will pretty much stay the same. The only thing that fluctuate could be whatever the cost of fuel is.
Well, we got 13,000 proposed in this, or proposed for the budget. What?
I've noticed fuel has come down just a little bit, but I'm not getting my hopes up. I mean, it could shoot right back up.
I was doing some calculations, and right now, a patrol car twice a week, gas. Is costing $60 extra a week per car. Roughly. To fill up twice a week is what it's taking.
Right.
So I'm not sure exactly what last year's was, but hopefully gas will go down. I'm hoping that 13,000 is enough. That's gonna be optimistic for 12 months for 3 patrol cars. Full-time operation.
Are there any fuel companies in the area, whether it be Tiger Fuel or whatever, are there any fuel companies in the area that like to sell fuel directly to police departments at a discounted rate?
The only company, and I'm not sure, Walter, which company Albemarle uses, but when I worked there, I do know that Albemarle worked with some company that they locked in the rates. And I
Cause they have
thought
their own little separate tank, and only people can use that tank would be your guy. Yeah, yeah.
they got them spread out like 4 or 5 different locations. But we can't, we don't have that ability. We don't have the
Right.
location for it.
So I didn't know if like somebody like, at least you say Tiger Fuel said, yeah, we'll do that. Then, okay, well, we got the market up here, and I believe Tiger Fuel may own one of these other gas stations.
We looked into getting our own tank too at one point,
Mhm.
and I think it just wouldn't work out.
I think there was a lawsuit at one point. We looked up at the fire department, or not the fire department, but the rescue squad. And that lawsuit was going on, so they wouldn't entertain it.
Okay. Okay.
Since then, it was actually a fuel availability issue for us in case of an emergency. And we run into that one winter with power went out. We were having a hard time getting fuel because Buckingham, Fluvanna, and everybody around us were out of fuel. No electricity, and they all come here to Scottsville and we bought all the fuel. Since then, we've worked with the staff at the market, and they've guaranteed us a reserve at the market in case we need, public safety needs fuel, and they would ensure we had access to fuel put into our police cars.
Would, back to what you said, we were looking into it, would it be feasible or would it even be possible for the PD to work with the volunteer fire department, because they do have several vehicles up there to run off of gasoline? So I didn't know if that's something that could be revisited. I mean, that's not done right now, but revisited in the future, and maybe I don't know, 500, 1,000 gallon tank. They just fill it in there, and that way they can fill their vehicles up, and you can fill your police cars up. And
I can ask the chief how they go about.
I don't know if folks would want to do that, or if that's something that would have to be approved by. I don't know if the volunteer fire department is still under the control of Albemarle County Fire Rescue. Okay, so
We're talking about just Haynesville Fire Station. See it at the rescue squad building, they've got the majority of their vehicles are diesel. So they only had just a few gasoline vehicles, and they had a meter or a gallon thing on there that tracked the number of gallons that were being used by which particular car and that kind of stuff. That really did fall by the wayside back maybe 2 years ago, where they just weren't going to entertain it.
Well, We have to vote on this,
No, we don't vote.
not
We don't-
today.
can't vote, but what we can do is say, does anyone have any objections to presenting this version of the budget to the general public next Monday of the public hearing? If nobody has any objections to that.
Well, as of the last time we met about it,
I have one change I would like to make. I would like to give the chief a raise higher than, if we have this surplus, $6,000 or $2,000 surplus isn't gonna make or break us. I think a $4,000 raise for chief would be appropriate.
I agree. Not only does it deserve, it'll prevent sticker shock when there's a. You have to hire someone else.
I
No,
think that's,
not,
I think
so-
that's a good idea.
I agree.
yeah, I think that's a good idea. I like that. Also, the other thing is one of the things we were, Councilor Good mentioned, we were trying to figure out where we could find $5,000. Well, we just realized that the light thing that,
Yeah.
boom, that's a 5,000, there's your 5,000
good.
right there. So,
Good.
so these numbers are more and more. Then again, we also do have the possibility of some of these numbers could be inflated. And that the fuel may jump up and down. I mean, who knows? We might get lucky if fuel drop down. I'm not gonna cross my fingers on it, but you know, it's just that. I think when we start looking at this in a quarterly fashion, I think we'll be able to make the adjustments. But I do agree with Alex. It's probably a good idea to go and give them a raise.
So Alex, you're saying put it into the police chief payroll
Yes.
as add 4,000.
You have any objection to that, Chief?
No, sir.
I just wanted to make sure, I mean,
If they need things.
You know, this is all just projected, and I just can't believe we're gonna have more money next year than we had this year. Especially with these depot licenses. And, you know, it was just 2 months ago that we could make payroll. And now we're giving big raises and, you know, we're projecting to have a lot more money. And we have no idea what we had last year. We have no idea what we have this year. We have no idea what we spent. I just worry about the finance of this town and just based on like, guesswork. You know,
That's what a budget is, guesswork.
no, I think because we had some actualizes, well, a couple of years ago, we had 23, 24, 22, 23, we had actual.
We also
numbers.
found out that most of those weren't accurate.
But they were probably better more than these proposed ones. This is just,
5 years ago, we had $500,000 in COVID money had come in.
yeah,
So
that was a different
that
thing.
changed all of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got this one from, a couple years ago. We had the actual 21, 22, 22, 23. And ever since then, we've all just had adopted and proposed a reappropriation. And so we really have no idea how much money we have as a town or how much we've spent.
Well, Walter brought up an idea earlier that I think is great, and I think that's a good way to monitor this, is just do a quarterly budget review.
Yeah,
Get actuals.
I think that's gonna be the only way.
It is a tight budget, so if we do that, make sure we're on track, I think.
I agree.
This is a
Go that
budget.
long. We're just, you know, just wishful thinking.
Also, just to your concern, I mean, I know you're retired now, but a lot of us that are still out there in the workforce and stuff, across the board, they're doing a cost of living, expenses everywhere, the COLA, I mean, I don't know of any business or any company out there that's not doing a cost of living increase. It's just, everything costs more, so we have no choice but to. It would be unfair for us to deny that.
Directing the town administrator to change the 58,350 to 62,350.
That's what I heard.
Okay, is that okay? Any objections to that?
Oh, that's good.
I would just like to say that number one, we should have talked down, considering that for me. But also, Mr. Tyson, if, and I know you were one of the big proponents of this, several budget, I think it was 2 budget cycles ago, but we were trying to hire a new police officer. And council asked me specifically, why is it we can't get a certified person in the door, instead of having to send someone to the academy? Last year, it cost us an extra $15,000 to send a person to the academy. Albemarle County's having such a hiring issue that they're 27 positions short right now. Starting July 1st, their starting pay for police officers is 61,800. So if, you know, let's all get back in the time machine and let's go back to that time period. You know, I had suggested that council consider every year at a minimum of a 2% increase for officers, simply just to keep up with any increases from the jurisdictions.
Right.
Albemarle County, I've talked with some of my friends that are there. Some of them are talking about 11% or more increase.
Yeah.
Just this budget cycle, just to help fill vacant positions. I feel very proud of our town, simply because I think we up with starting pay for our police officers. Be very, very difficult if we don't try to keep up with that each year. Regardless of whatever we do, we really need to focus and make sure that we keep forefront that 2 or 3% increase for our patrol officers, or we're not going to keep.
Yeah, they'll go, the way things are nowadays, people don't get a job and say, you know, I'm gonna work here 15 years. No, I'm gonna get a job here. This is what I'm making. If I can make $5 grand more here, I'm gone. And there are a lot of places don't even require, now some places do, but not a lot of places don't even require you to sign an agreement. You know, I hire you, you promised me 12 months. That's,
Now, Albemarle's doing a $7,500, that's for a recruit officer, brand new, has to go to the academy. $7,500 sign-on bonus just for a recruit officer. If I go to Albemarle County with experience, they're talking about $15,000 sign-on bonus. And how does anybody compete with that?
yeah.
So,
They still have a short.
yeah, and they still have a short.
Well,
People don't always leave because of money,
Right, yeah.
they leave leadership.
Yeah.
But also, if we want to continue to attract people to the town of Scottsville at work, we have to pay it. And our police officers, I mean, it's a police officer market right now. They can go anywhere and get a job.
because it's a national shortage.
It's a national issue, Mr. Bridgeville, you're 100% accurate. And I know some council members weren't here when we talked about this, but I would just, you remember how far behind we were in starting. And I've been here, like, not quite 5 years yet. Started to pay for an officer, he was $48,000. And now we've got it at least to where it's competitive. And I've got people asking me now for jobs. So I think we're doing something right as far as the town's police department
Coming
goes.
down the road, not like right
I
now.
just encourage, whether I'm here or not, please always keep forefront that these officers' pay has to stay competitive, or we're not gonna keep them.
Well said, Chief. Thank you.
Well, can this be advertised by the deadline for? Perfect.
And it says on it very clearly that the numbers are subject to change.
There you go.
It's,
Like that.
I mean, I would say this to you, Councilor Heisen, about this, and I think just as a summation, it's an imperfect budget. It's a tight year. We're gonna go with what has been said and look at the budget more often. We have new staff who's trying to get a handle on where we are. We had some issues this last year that were pretty significant that we've had to address. They weren't easy. They're still not all solved. I mean, that's one of the issues. We still have to deal with that. And I think this is a good faith opportunity for us as a town to say, okay, we're going to go with this. And it also doesn't add tax to our businesses, which is good. And it allows us to get through this year and take care of the needs of our staff. So again, it's not, I mean, if we look at it, I would even say it's not a pretty budget, but budgets don't have to be pretty. They just have to work. That's the bottom line. It just has to work.
Still that, if we got humans. So low, never had it so low, $8,000 per year. You know, that covers a couple of cans of paint days.
Well, we were looking at the capital improvements, Mr. Tyson, for police cars. So
Yeah.
that pickup truck out there that was donated to the town, that's gonna be the last free police vehicle that the town gets. And Elizabeth and I going through this budget. So realistically, in the capital budget last year, there was $8,000 for a police car replacement. This year's budget was another 8,000 proposed for a police car replacement, right? So there should be, if this budget was approved, there should be $16,000 sitting in a capital improvement fund someplace for a replacement on car. It's not there. But we, as a team, really need to think about them. Cars are $75,000, 70 for sure. And yes, we can recycle some of the equipment through it, but we need to be thinking long term, because we're not going to get another grant most likely for a new police car. And we're certainly not going to have another one donated to us for nothing. So I know we talk about no taxes, but if we don't do something and get creative on how to raise revenues for our community,
I agree.
we're gonna get lost in the shuffle for sure. Because things are gonna slowly creep up on us and we're not gonna recognize it until it's too late. And everything in the police department, it's getting expensive. For the first time, I'm having to pay for licenses access for Albemarle County's computer system, for reports and things like that. When we talk about, I think Mr. Gritzko and Mr. Townsend, you asked me, things going up. Yeah, everything's going up. Now I'm having first times paid for licenses to ensure our police officers can respond to calls and take reports the way they're supposed to. Everything's going up. Anything else? Big folks.
One thing I just want to say is that I feel comfortable, like Councilor Good, I feel comfortable with what we have. And the addition with Councilor Bissett, that I believe that we could make this work. Like Chief said, we work as a team, but at the same time, at the town council, I believe what we should do is we need to really be diligent on the BPO and the meals tax collection and everything. And at the town, we need to offer and get whatever resources our administrator would need to get that money into the town. So we need to be behind her 100%. It can't be we need to be behind 100%. We have delinquent business licenses and meals tax starting July 1st. I really believe that we need to make that a priority. It's like this. Nobody wants to do work for anyone if you're not going to get paid for it. Same principle. So we need to, as a town council, I believe we need to offer to give her the resources she would need to get that money in.
If the tax was being paid, we wouldn't top having that. I mean, we would have the money.
We got clarify.
Some, yeah. And I know the police department's been partnering with the town administrator's office. That's why the criminal investigation, we were looking at this last cigarette tax thing as a criminal investigation. I don't think there's been a lot of accountability for a long time. I think some of this stuff has slipped through the cracks.
Yeah.
And there's been no follow-up. And I think she's done a really good job of creating this light sheet for the cigarettes. That into us at the point, right? And the follow-up was very thorough. I think some headway was made with the business owner today. So meals tax, I know she and I talked about, was that the Virginia tax collection coalition or something?
For the cigarette tax?
Yeah. What about meals tax? Isn't there something else, somebody else out there that helps collect taxes?
We're not a member of that, it's Blue Ridge, the cigarette, whatever. I don't know the full name of it and why the town isn't a member, but basically what that means is since we aren't a member, we're the ones that go out, or I'm the one that goes out as the administrator or treasurer, that I can do those audits like we did today. If we were a member of that group, we wouldn't have been going out there.
They'll do the audits.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the only reason we found this out is because we reached out to Albemarle County. This was a very complex, research, you know, trying to figure out how does Scottsville get paid for cigarette packs? I didn't know.
Yeah, that's good.
But making phone calls and trying to figure this out, unfortunately, we made some contacts with some of these distributors and they helped explain it to us. The meals taxes, you know, maybe instead of us trying to always do it ourselves, maybe trying to be forward thinking and think, how can we leverage maybe another company coming in? What's that gonna look like? How much does it cost out of our revenues and things like that? But obviously, things are slipping through the cracks and then we're not getting the revenues into the town that we really should be. Maybe it's just a different way, a different strategy and way of thinking of things. You know?
I think that's what Mr. Bowman had recommended, extended, a couple weeks ago, the council about their, a firm that collects the money. I don't know who else does that type of thing. Yes. And yes, money, what, they retain. 20% or so, but I mean, honestly, before we started giving away money, that's why I've been. Sending out.
Yeah, it's not 20%, because I had an ordinance passed that allows you to charge the taxpayer with the 20%, so essentially. While 145 counties, cities, and towns in Virginia are using these people, it's a wash. And we have a system that collects the taxes.
To put in context, if we didn't have this issue right now, if all the depot tax was paid and all the meals tax was paid, where would we be at? I mean, would we be what? Just a general, I'm not asking for a specific number, would we be 10,000 ahead of what we are now, or would it be a whole lot more of what? I mean,
Well,
if everything was paid up to where it's supposed to be.
Sales tax, the companies that have delinquent, I think it was $40-some thousand or $45,000.
So it's just say 40,000, so $40,000 could be added on if we've got the money.
I've got a limited case going to court the 26th for the one business that went out of business
Right.
at a minimum of $35,000.
So we, awesome.
That was a case that, you know, we examined, looked at, and we did open a criminal case. Mr. Bowles been kept in the loop the whole way. We opened a criminal case on it and we actually placed a charge and the person's been served. Court date, June the 26th is when we are scheduled for court on that. Now, basically, if convicted, it doesn't resolve him of his back taxes at all. He's still obligated. But I also may obligate him of up to $2,500 fine and 12 months in jail. See, so we're hoping that with some leverage, we'll go ahead and settle up the bill with the town or payments or whatever the case may be. I think it's been a long time, Jim, since we've used something like that. And he and I spoke about it today. It's not something that police want to really get involved in tax collection, but she's brought a couple cases to us that really did warrant looking into the cigarette tax.
Yeah, sure.
And then that one meals tax with the one business, you're talking $40,000+ that hasn't come to the town.
Do you know how much we figure for the problems with the clerk we've lost? Roughly
Well,
30 to 40,000.
I wish we had a clear answer for you, Mr. Hudson. I just know right now what the agent can prove, it's about $4,500.
That's all. So $4,500.
Yes, sir.
Wow. How much though? I will never get good. I guess we'll never see that.
The mayor.
That's so small though.
The mayor and I have talked, and I don't know if there's possibility, depending on Miss Abay's records, if civil suit want it or not. But then that employs Jim again, and then your calls start opening up by him taking a civil case to court. So I'm not sure what the solution is.
So that's not much money at all.
Well, you all been dancing around this issue for 8 years now. Basically got saved with revenue sharing with no government, with code. She confronted a huge problem years ago, back in what's current. That'll be 21 instead of 21. And what she's talking about is $75,000 car. That's not gonna be ultimately solved by cracking down and collecting every penny for pilot to for your business license tax instead of meals tax. It's just not gonna, it's just not, the economics just don't work out.
I would suggest also when this new subdivision, I saw where the first home up on the hill, the foundation's been broke. I mean, they're getting ready to start the first, well, I guess it would be the second one besides the model home.
Yeah.
But that's 36 homes, times it by two, maybe 2 to 3 people. What is that, 100, maybe 88 people? And then as soon as that one's done, I understand there's a phase 2 that's being talked about behind. What's that look?
I don't know about that.
And then we're talking about the Blue Water Tower off Glenham Road. That's by right 72 new homes. So times that by 2 or 3 people. The town's population, what maybe within the next, what we're talking 5-10 years. I'm just being optimistic. You talk about doubling the population of the town, and I can guarantee you that every single one of those homes are going to demand resources from this town, from our council members, from our public safety, that's fire, police, rescue, everything. The town administrator's office, everybody is going to be impacted by that growth. And I just haven't heard many conversations about how we're going to deal with it. Yeah. And we have these conversations, and I don't mean to preach, for God's sake, so I sound like I'm good. But we've had these conversations. I've been here, this will be my 5th budget process, and every year it's the same thing. It's a lean budget, it's a tight budget, we don't have the money, we're cutting. I understand it's the taxpayers' money, we have to be accountable for it. But wow, we've cut about everything that we can cut. It's not a lot of fat.
Yeah.
That we're dealing with. And I'm just not sure how we're gonna keep going if we don't make some hard decisions. For me, all of us at this time, we love the place, but we've got to make some hard decisions.
We should open up the conversation on the real estate tax again after the budget cycle's done and have a public forum about it and see if that's an option. I don't like that option, but
Even if it's a little amount, it's still,
But a little level to it.
Yeah.
Like someone told
but
me,
if you don't want to do that, then again, if you don't want to do that, then what do you do? Go back to the meals tax, be diligent, fund, you got to be on them.
Alabama increased their taxes by how much was it, 11%? Is that what they were talking about?
For what?
For the property tax.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, property tax?
Okay, you know that one.
No, they didn't wind up increasing their personal property tax, that,
Assessments went up.
the assessments, right? So they don't have, so even when the county executive says that you're good on your budget because you got the AstraZeneca thing coming in, they still want to increase the property tax.
Yeah.
So they increased it last year, assessments went up this year, so regardless, it always goes up.
Yeah,
You know, it's a self-looking ice cream cone, it's gonna increase by itself as long as the real estate market stays up. And if you ever see a collapse like in 08, it's slowly come down with assessments.
It doesn't come down.
Yeah.
And then
They've
got a
got
referendum.
assessments then.
Yeah.
well, they have a referendum in November talking about another tax for school revenues because they need a new school.
Right.
too.
Yeah.
So I guess I say that to say this is everyone around us is increasing taxes. And I'm not sure, that's not my decision to make, and I don't mean to be bold and step out of turn, but we didn't talk about any of that We didn't talk about how we're gonna pay the bills, keep the lights on, pay employees. We didn't talk any of that kind of stuff. So. Anyway, Mayor, I'm sorry.
No, but I've always thought to increase the meals tax. Up to what Charlottesville pays,
I think you only got a 0.5% to go.
even if 5%, I think would help.
Like you said, 0.5%.
You only got a 0.5%
Yeah.
ceiling that y'all
Oh, even that would help.
last time you raised it.
We talked about that, we
Yeah.
never talked about it.
And it would raise the budget, of course it would, but.
We've already said this is the budget we're gonna present, so. Anything else?
So.
Thank you.
Let it go.